Good evening to one and all present here. I am Dr. K. Dhanlakshmi, Associate Professor from Department of Computer Science, SF, Kongunoda Arts and Science College, Coimbatore. And today in this session, we are going to recap overview of C++. So first of all, I will introduce what is C++ programming language. Next slide. So this is the father of C++. His name was Johnny Stroustrup, and he is one of the very important computer scientists and who developed the C++ programming language during 1970s. And according to his concept, he has first started working on C++ in the year 1979 at Bell Laboratory, and he kept experimenting and updating it for the next 10 years. And almost 20 years of experience has put in this development of this C++ language. And C++ language was originally named as the C with classes, and later on it was renamed as C++ in 1983. So already we know that the C++ is a programming language which was an expanded version of C. As with the name, it indicates that it is a C with classes. So C actually it is a procedure-oriented programming language. So after the invention of the classes and objects concept, and this concept has been introduced in C++, and this language becomes to OOPS language. So C++ is basically called as it is one of the very familiar and popular and strongful object-oriented programming languages. So object-oriented programming paradigm is a framework which consisting of lot of concepts in terms of the classes and objects, and based on this concept, so many number of the languages has been developed, but among those languages, this C++ is one of the very familiar and powerful languages. It becomes very succeeded one comparing with the other languages which was developed and implemented by using the concepts of OOPS. So this is it is a typed and compiled and general purpose case sensitive and free form programming language that supports the procedural and object oriented programming. That's why it was named as the C with classes. So already whatever the features which are available in the C, that is gone along with the concepts of the C language. Now the concepts of the OOPS has been incorporated into this C++ language. And this C++ is regarded as a middle level language, and it comprises a combination of both high level and low level language features, and it runs on a variety of the platforms such as Windows, Linux, and various forms of the Unix also. Next topic is features of C++. So these are all some of the features of C++ which makes the language becomes to very popular and familiar one. Simple and portability, powerful, platform dependent, and object oriented, case sensitive, compiler based, and syntax based language. So this first one is the simple. The C++ program can be written in any editor by using the simple language, English language. So it is easy to understand, and it is going to be easily developed by the programmer. And second one is the platform dependent language. Since it is going to be depends upon the compiler of the language, whatever the codings what you have written for the one particular machine, it is going to be adapted only by this particular platform. So that is what it is called as a platform dependent. And so this is a platform independent. So first of all, you are writing the language, that is using the platform. You are creating the source file. The name of the source file is going to be given with the first file name with dot period, and following this one, the C++. It is an extension of this language file, and the source file has been created. And following this one, the source file is going to be given as the input to this C++ compiler. And the compiler, already we know that it is a translator which is going to be performing the both syntax and the semantic debugging process, identifying the errors and identifying the mistakes in this syntax also. And if there is no error, means in your program, then it is going to be generating the executable file where the name of the file is going to be provided or produced by the compiler along with the extension of obj, which means that this is an object file. So from this source file, the compiler is going to be generating the object file, and this file is going to be given to the various different platforms where it is going to be generating the output based on the execution of the object file. Portability. The portability means, which means that the source code which is written for one particular platform is going to be transmitted or copied into the another platform. That is going to be possible in this C++. Whereas in case of assembly language means the program which is written for the one particular assembler cannot be executed on the another version of the assembler. So that is a limitation of the assembly language. But whereas in case of the C++, it is possible to portable the code which is written for the one system into the another system. So that facility is also going to be available in the C++. So this is what, whenever you are generating the there is a OBE file, and from this OBE file, it is going to be copied into various number of different machines or other computers, which contains the different kind of the operating system, where it is going to be capable of executing the program and generating and producing the output. And this is a powerful language, which means that as a programming language, there are some basic programming features are going to be very important, and most of the programming language features are going to be incorporated and included in this C++. So it is going to be consisting of the powerful and a very variety of the data types and functions, control statements, and the decision making statements, all are available in this programming languages. And this is a object oriented programming language. That is already I told that is a C++ object oriented programming paradigm is a framework which consisting of the standard concepts, and by using those concepts, so many number of the scientists have developed so many number of the languages. Among the languages, the C++ becomes too very powerful because of the successful implementation of the OOPS concept in this language. So this is the compiler based language. So we are having different categories of the translators in this computer system. We are having the assembler is one of the translator, which is used to convert the assembly language to machine language, and compiler is another category of the translator, which is going to be capable of converting the given source program into its equivalent machine language program. And the third one is the interpreter, and that is also doing the same thing, but the way how it is going to be translating the given source program into its equivalent machine language program is going to be differ from the compiler into interpreter. So this C++ is a compiler based programming language, which means that the compiler, whenever you are going to be giving the command for the execution of the C++ program, the compiler is going to be checking that is each and every statements from the first line to last statement, and if there is no error in your program, then only your program is going to be compiled into or transformed into the machine language programs. If there is any error in the middle of the program or any other places of the program means, then it is going to be giving the error messages. Then the user or the developer has to debug the program and rectifying the error, and again they have to go for the compilation and the execution process. It's a case sensitive language. What do you mean by case sensitive? What do you mean by case sensitive? Which means that uppercase and the lower case are going to be considered as treated as the distinct one. So when you see the example, when you are writing the break in this language, then the small letters, and where the break in this word is going to be consisting of the capital letters, and these two words, even though it is going to be considered as the same word, but according to this C++ language, this break is which is written in this lowercase letters is going to be different from the break which is written in the uppercase letter. Even a single letter which is written in either in small letter and case letter in two different words is also going to be considered as the separate words. Okay. For example, if you are going to be taking the letter T, if you are going to be writing one variable name as the T in small letter, that is one variable, and if you are declaring another variable with the same T in capital letter, which means that uppercase means, then that letter is going to be considered as the separate variables. Okay. So now we are going to go through the difference between C and C++ language. So according to the C is going to be considered as the POP language, procedure oriented programming language. So which means that according to the C language, the main focus or the high preference is going to be given to the codings, which means the statements of the program. Here the data is not going to be considered as that much of the importance for the hidden for process. But whereas in case of the C++, the data is going to be considered as the very important. So high preference is going to be given to the data only. So that is what we are going to be binding together in the C language programs. What we are doing is in terms of the classes, we are going to be binding the data and the codings which manipulate that data is going to be binded together into a single unit. That is what it is a concept is going to be known as the data hiding process is implemented in this C++. But whereas in case of the main focus is going to be given only to the statements, which means that the function is going to be considered as the high priority than the data. So that is what the C is going to be called as an procedure oriented programming language, whereas in C++ it is going to be called as an object oriented programming language. Here the first preference high weightage is going to be given to the objects, where the object is going to be consisting of the data and the codings that manipulate the data. And in C here in C language, the large programs are going to be divided or decomposed into the smaller parts, which is known as the functions. So in order to enhance the modularity and reusability features, the C language program, the lengthy and the single large program is going to be divided into so many number of the small tasks which are going to be implemented in the form of the functions. And in case of the C++, large programs are divided into smaller parts known as the objects. So here we are going to be binding again the same thing. The wrapping up of the data and the coding is going to be binded together into a single unit. That concept has been implemented where you are achieving the concept of data hidden. And the third point is the encapsulation and abstraction, inheritance and the polymorphism. These are not supported in C language, whereas in case of the C++, these concepts which are very core concepts of the object-oriented programming framework has been implemented by this C++ very successfully. And also inline functions, friend function, virtual functions are not available in C, and whereas these are all available in the C++ in order to achieve the concept of polymorphism and inheritance, etc. And function overloading and operator overloading also not available in C language, whereas in case of the C++, all are possible. All these concepts which are mentioned above here are easy to implemented in this C++. And here the C uses scanf and printf functions for to perform the console input and output operations, whereas in case of C++, all the things is going to be implemented only in terms of the objects, whereas the cin and the cout is also not a statement. These are also implemented in terms of the objects in order to perform the console input and output operations. And next difference is the C uses malloc and free functions for the dynamic memory allocations and deallocations, whereas in case of the C++, it is going to be making use of their new and free operators in order to carry out the dynamic memory allocations in the programs. Memory allocations and deallocations in the C++ programs. And C does not support for exception handling, which means that the exception handling concepts are going to be used to implement the concept of runtime error. So whenever you are implementing your program by including the concept of exception handling, then only it is going to be enhancing the reliability of your program. Whatever the scenario, whatever the cases which may occur during the execution of your program will never be stopped. Again, it is going to be overcome the runtime error and it is going to give the remedy or solution for that. That is what known as the handling the exceptions. And it is going to be resume the execution of the program. So this is going to be increasing the reliability and performance of your total of real-time applications. That facility is not available in C language, but in case of the C++, it is implementing the concept of the exception handling in order to handle the runtime errors which are occurred during the execution of your applications. And the next difference is the file name extension of the C program is .c and the file name extension in C++ is .cpp. and it follows the top-down approach in the program design in C language, whereas in C++ it follows the bottom-up approach in the program design. What do you mean by top-down approach means? In the C language, we are going to be starting the, first of all, we are writing the main function, and following this main function only, we are in the belowing the main function only, we are writing the so many number of the user-defined functions. So the execution is going to be always start from the main function which is available in the top of the program in case of the C language. That's what it is called as a top-down approach. But in case of the C++, what we are doing is, first of all, we are writing, giving the implementation for the all the user-defined functions in the form of the class definitions, and following the after the successful completion of this class definitions, the main function is going to be written in the bottom of your program. But wherever you are writing the main function, the execution is going to always begin in the main function only. So according to the C++, since the main function is going to be given in this bottom of your program, and the execution is going to be follows the bottom up approach. Okay. And this is the applications of C++. So these are all the various applications where we can use the C++ language in order to develop the softwares. So already we know that the software is going to be divided into basically two categories. The one is going to be known as the system software, and the second one is going to be known as the application software. And each and every language has been developed with the invention of either it may be suitable for the development of system software, and some of the languages has been developed to concentrate on the application software. In that, according to that category, this C++ language becomes to very powerful, and it is very more useful for the development of the system software. By using this system software, we can able to write and develop the design and develop the operating systems, translators, and any OS part of the programs, and any kind of the software which is going to be related to the system, which is going to assist the system to enhance the performance or of the overall activity of the computer systems. Clear? So according to that one, this C++ is going to be mainly suitable for writing or developing the system software side. Clear? So that is what this C++ is going to be mainly used to design the operating system and design the databases, engineering application, medical application, embedded, built embedded enterprise software, and development of new languages. That is important, very important. Even the Java language compiler has also been developed by using the C or C++ software only. Okay. Computation performed, designing the web browser to develop the game and design the compilers. That is what I told that and also it is useful in the desktop application. Any utilities which is going to be helpful for the user, to the system means those utility or the tool can be developed by using the C++ language. Clear? The new concepts of object-oriented programming. Oops. So this is the basic fundamental, and this is the backbone of this object-oriented programming framework. And any language which is going to be supporting most of this concept, then only the language becomes to very popular. If there is any lack in the development or implement of any particular concept in their particular language means, then it won't become that much of the successful one. So according to that fact, the C++ is going to be incorporating and supporting, implementing all the concepts what we have mentioned in the object-oriented programming paradigm. First of all, the fundamental basic bone of this object-oriented program is going to be called as a class. So what is meant by class? It is a user-defined data type. So this is a new thing which is going to be considered as the very important backbone of this OOPS concept. So in this case of the C language, it is not supported. All the data type is going to be already, all the programs has been already developed only by using the basic and primary and built-in data types only. So if you want to develop, design your own data type as per the requirements of your application, as per the requirements of the software, if you want to design your own data type means that is not supported by the C language, but whereas in case of the C++, it is supporting that. The class is a user-defined data type, which means that the user can able to define their own data type as per the requirements of their application. Okay. So next concept is going to be considered as the object. And since the class is a data type, the object is a, what is the object? It is an instance of the class. or you can say that it is a variable of the type of class. So class is a data type and object is a variable which is declared by using the object. Okay. So and we can also say that, as he said, the object is an instance of the class, which means that it is a particular specific items which are created or generated by using the general data type class. So whatever why we are using these two is going to be considered the very important components of this object-oriented programming paradigm. Is all the remaining concepts are implemented only by that is in terms of classes and objects only. So, okay. So here that is, this concept implies that you are viewing each and every term in your program as the object. So they are viewing the program as the real-time entity. So whatever the program, whatever the thing you are or item you are handling in your program, that will be considered or termed as the object. So they want to make it as they don't want to separate your application program from the real world entity. So all the applications are going to be installed and utilized only for the real world terms only. So they don't want to make a separation among this is the program entity and this is the real world entity. So they want to combine together and they want to make it as a single point of view. That's what each and everything is going to be treated in your C++ program as the object only. So whatever we are viewing in the real world is going to be considered as look into only in terms of the object. For example, this table is an object, this chair is an object, this mic is an object, and myself is an object, and yourself is also an object. Clear? And next one is the encapsulation. What is meant by encapsulation? Huh? Encapsulation means? What is meant by encapsulation? The wrapping up of both data and the codings which make the changes in the data is going to be binded together. That is what going to be known as the encapsulation. Through this one, what we are achieving is we are achieving the concept of data hiding process, which means that the data is not going to be accessed from the outside world. It is going to be accessed only by the code which is available inside that package, inside that class. Next one is the inheritance. Through this inheritance concept, we are achieving the main important features called as an reusability. The existing thing is not necessary to rewritten once again and again. If there is any classes, if there is any methods or which is already defined, predefined, means if you are going to be starting any new application or if you are writing any new software, means you need not to rewrite each and everything again and again. First of all, you have to go through the existing classes and the functions and objects which are already existing one. If there is which is going to be suitable for your current application, you can make use of it. There is no need to rewrite the same thing again and again. That is what known as the reusability. So that facility is going to be implemented with the help of the concept of inheritance. Inheritance means deriving the properties from one class into the another class. So that is what going to be called as an inheritance. So property here, the property means the content of the class. Each and every classes is going to be consisting of the two important things. One is going to be considered as the properties, which means that data variables, and another one is going to be known as the functions. Next. Go back. Back. So in this one, the class is going to be consisting of two things. One is going to be known as the variables and another one is going to be known as the methods. A variables which are declared inside the class is going to be called as data members, and the methods or functions which are declared inside the class is going to be called as methods or member functions. Yeah. Next one is the polymorphism. Poly is a word which is derived from the Greek language, which means that single form, multiple meaning. So if it is possible to, you are having only one thing, but depends upon the scenario or situation, if you can able to percept different meaning, means that is what called as an polymorphism. So here the polymorphism is going to be consisting of two types. What are they? One is the compile time polymorphism and another one is the runtime polymorphism. So give some example for runtime polymorphism. Which concept is implementing the runtime polymorphism? virtual functions. You have to have a clear idea about this topic. So polymorphism is a concept. It's a single form, multiple meaning. Okay, but it is going to be categorized into two: compile time and runtime. Compile time means the all kind of the process is going to be done in for this particular function. This particular definition is going to be matched. So for mapping process is going to be done, carried out at the time of the compilation itself. That's why it is called as a compile time polymorphism. So runtime polymorphism means for which function call, which function should be executed. That is going to be determined only at the runtime. That's why it is called as a runtime polymorphism. So if anything is going to be done during at the time of the compilation, for that we can give the example of function overloading and operator overloading. For these two concepts is going to be considered as the example for the compile time polymorphism, which means that for which function call, which function definition should be executed. That mapping process is going to be carried out during the compilation itself. Whereas in case of runtime, the example is implemented in the form of the virtual functions, which means that is achieved only with the help of the pointers. The pointers can able to allocate the address of the variables or any functions only at the runtime only. So for which particular function, which particular function definition should be mapped, that is going to be determined and decided by the compiler only at the runtime. So the virtual function is going to be considered as the example for the runtime polymorphism. Function overloading and operator overloading is going to be considered as the example for compile time polymorphism. Any doubt? Got the idea? And next one is the dynamic binding. Dynamic binding is also going to be known as the this is a mapping up of which particular function call to which function definition. So this decision is going to be carried out by the compiler only at the runtime. So that is what called as a dynamic binding. Next to last one is a message passing. So in this OOPS concept, one message can able to communicate with the another object. One object is going to be communicated with the another object. That is what going to be known as the message passing. So the two objects can able to share their data by passing the objects as the arguments to the function. So this is what a way how does we are achieving the concept of message passing. Message passing means two or more objects can able to share or exchange their data. This is what known as the message passing. This is achieved by passing objects as the arguments to the functions. For example, if you are going to be taking two objects, means one object is going to be invoking the function and another object is going to be passed as the arguments to the function. So both the data of both objects is going to be come inside into this function. They can able to exchange the data, they can able to manipulate the data, they can able to go for some kind of the calculation and produce the result. That is what going to be known as the message passing concept. Clear? So this is what a class is going to be considered as the building block, and it leads to the main important concept of the object oriented programming. It is a user defined data type which consisting of both data members and member functions which are going to be accessed and used by creating an instance of that class. So this is the syntax of the general syntax of the class in OOPS language. So first of all, class name, and the following this one you have to give the opening curly brace, whereas you are inside this one you have to give the declaration and the definitions of both variables and functions. The variables which are declared inside the class is called as an data members, and the functions which are declared inside the class is going to be called as an member functions, and these two is going to be classified by using the another new term, that is what called as an access specifiers. What do you mean by access specifiers? Which word are going to be mentioned here? Which keyword are going to be used to mention the access specifiers in class definition? Public, private and protected. So that is going to be considered as the generally called as an access specifiers. You know the meaning of the private, public, protected. Private means the following members should be accessed only within the class. Public means those members can be accessed outside from the world also. Protected means only the class which are derived from this class is going to be able to access the members of this base class. So these words is going to be accessed. That is what generally it is referred to as the access specifiers, which define from where these members can be accessed or not. Okay, that is indicated by using the three words, keywords, private, public and protected. So this is an example for the class. Class name is a room is a class which consisting of the following public data members, length, breadth, height, and it is also consisting of the one methods, calculate area, where it consists of the definition of the class method is also going to be given here. Multiplying the length and breadth, it is going to be returning the height of the class object. That's next. So next one is the object. The object is an instance of a class. When a class is well defined, then by using the class only we can able to create the objects. Only for class definition there is no memory space is going to be allocated. For each and every successful creation of the object only, the separate memory is allocated for the data members of for each and every object, and the memory space which is allocated for the functions is going to be shared among all the objects which are created by using the same class. So these are all the sum of the objects. That is what I already told that in the real world we are going to be looking each and everything only in the point of object only. So here the table is an object, fan is an object, pen is an object, and doormat is an object, and vehicle is also object. Everything is going to be considered viewed as the only in terms of object. They don't want to make any separation between the real-time entity and the programs items which are handled by the programmer. Inheritance. So deriving the properties which are data members and methods from one class into another class is going to be called as an inheritance. It is going to be consisting of a lot of varieties. The different types of inheritance are going to be there. Any idea about the types of inheritance? Single inheritance, multiple inheritance, multi-level, hybrid, hierarchical. All the thing is going to be coming under the category of inheritance. So that is what I already told, that it is going to be used to mainly achieve the important feature of reusability. Why we go for inheritance means the existing thing need not to produced again and again. If anything you are already having means you can make use of it. That is what called as an reusability. So that is the types of inheritance: single, multiple, multi-level, and also hybrid, hierarchical inheritance. So this is an example. Vehicle is going to be considered as the base class. So from this base class, they are deriving the two more classes. One is automobiles and pulled vehicles. And from this automobiles again, they are deriving the two more derived class, car and scooter. And pulled vehicles also derived another two classes, rickshaw and bicycle. So here, according to one example, the car is a class which is deriving the properties from the automobiles and also from the vehicle class. So only if you are going to be viewing vehicles, automobiles and the car, it is going to be considered as the what type of inheritance? Multi-level inheritance. Good. So okay, it is going to be considered as the multiple inheritance. Clear? Next. Polymorphism. This is a Greek term. Already I told that the ability to take more than one form